They turned off my power. I was gone on vacation and they turned off my power. All the food in my fridge had gone bad. I'll never forget the smell that hit me when I opened my apartment door that summer. My boyfriend, who's now my husband, and I had just come back from Virginia Beach, sunburned, sandy, and happy. I was ready to crash on the couch, but instead, I walked into a dark apartment. The power company had shut off my electricity because I hadn't paid the bill. And let me tell you, nothing smells worse than a week's worth of spoiled food in the middle of July. It turns out it takes a few months of not paying before they'll actually shut it off, which really shows you how bad I was at managing money back then. But here's the thing, I'm not alone in that struggle. Money stress touches nearly everyone, especially middle-class families who often feel squeezed from both sides. It's like you're working hard, making a decent income, but the worries just don't seem to let up. Hi, my friend. If you're new here, my name is Sarah. I'm the owner of FrozenPennies.com. I'm a financial coach and the author of the international best-selling book, Fundamentally Frugal, link below. Today, we're going to talk about the 10 biggest money worries that are stressing out middle-class Americans every single day. And stick with me until the end because I'll not only share the worries, but also some small doable steps to start easing that stress. Worry number 1, living paycheck to paycheck. One of the heaviest weights middle-class families carry is the feeling that the money runs out before the month does. You work hard, but by the time you pay for housing, groceries, gas, childcare, and maybe a streaming subscription or two, the money is gone. That pressure of waiting for payday just to make ends meet can be overwhelming. It's like running on a treadmill that never slows down. Living paycheck to paycheck isn't always about careless spending. A lot of the time, it's simply because life has gotten more expensive. Prices climb, but paychecks don't keep up. And when every cent has a job, there's no breathing room for fun, savings, or even mistakes. The stress of this lifestyle isn't just financial, it's emotional. It means saying no to things you'd love to do with your family or stressing about whether the card will go through at checkout. The good news is, even small changes can create wiggle room. Start by tracking where every dollar goes for 1 month. That awareness alone can be eye-opening. Then, try to set aside even $20 to $25 a week. It doesn't sound like much, but over a year, it builds a cushion. And the peace of mind that comes with even a small buffer is huge. Worry number 2, medical bills. Healthcare in America can feel unpredictable. One expected test or routine procedure can lead to bills that throw your whole budget off balance. For middle-class families, it's a double squeeze. You often make too much to qualify for assistance, but not enough to shrug off a $5,000 surprise bill. And even with insurance, which is expensive, the mix of premiums, deductibles, and prescriptions adds up fast. But here's the hopeful part. Taking care of your health doesn't always have to mean draining your wallet. Preventative care and smart treatment options can save you money in the long run by helping you avoid bigger, more expensive issues down the road. And alongside that, remember, always ask for an itemized bill. Don't hesitate to negotiate and use HSA or FSA accounts if you have them. These small steps combined with resources can help you move from feeling powerless against medical bills to feeling prepared and supported. Most importantly, don't ignore the bills. Facing them feels scary, but hiding from them only makes the problem worse. Taking control, even in small steps, brings relief. Quick story. I have a temporary bridge that I have in my mouth. And when I went to the dentist for my last cleaning, the hygienist knocked it out because it's temporary and the glue isn't permanent. They wanted to charge me $141.67 to replace the glue of the bridge that the dental hygienist knocked out. Well, that didn't seem fair to me, so I went to the front desk and I said, is there any way that you can waive this fee? It was fine before I came in for a cleaning, but now it's been knocked out of my mouth because the dental hygienist needed to do her job. They were able to waive that $141.67 for me because I'm a patient there. And I have a lot of money invested in my mouth with more to come, and they were happy to do that for me. Worry number 3, rising housing costs. Housing costs have gone through the roof, literally. Whether you rent or own, that payment is probably eating up a huge chunk of your paycheck. And it's not just the monthly rent or mortgage, property taxes, insurance, utilities, and repairs sneak in and pile on. For some families, it feels like half their paycheck is gone the moment they hand it over to the landlord or the bank. The stress here comes from the lack of flexibility. Housing isn't like groceries where you can swap name brands or cut back on snacks. You can't just pay half your mortgage one month and hope the bank is cool with that. The lack of wiggle room makes housing costs one of the biggest sources of money anxiety. When I think back to coming home from Virginia Beach to a dark apartment, it reminds me that home is supposed to be stability, not stress. If your home is keeping you awake at night, it's time to consider options. Could you refinance to a lower interest rate? Could you rent out a room or part of your home to bring in extra income? Could you even downsize temporarily to relieve the pressure? These aren't glamorous solutions, but sometimes a little sacrifice now means a lot more peace down the road. Worry number 4, saving for retirement. Retirement feels like a faraway dream when you're juggling bills today. For middle-class families, it often gets pushed out to the back burner because the needs of right now are screaming louder than the needs of 30 years from now. But even when people do think about it, the worry creeps in. Will I ever have enough to stop working? What if Social Security isn't enough or even there by the time I retire? What if I outlive my savings? That anxiety can feel like a cloud always hanging in the background. You might not talk about it over dinner, but it's there when you lie awake at night wondering what the future looks like. And honestly, it's not just about numbers. It's about the kind of life you want to live when you're older. Nobody dreams of working a job they don't love until they're 75 just to keep the lights on. Here's the hopeful part. You don't need to have it all figured out today. Even starting small builds momentum. If you can just put 2% of your paycheck into a retirement account, it's not about the amount, it's about forming the habit. Over time, the magic of compound interest does its thing. And if your employer offers a match, that's literally free money waiting to be claimed. Think of it like planting seeds. It might not look like much at first, but those seeds grow into shade trees later in life. Worry number 5, emergency expenses. Picture this. You're driving to work, coffee in hand, when suddenly your car makes that awful clunking sound. You know the one that means you're about to spend hundreds of dollars you don't have. For middle-class families, emergencies don't just stress the bank account. They stress the heart. The constant what-if fear can feel paralyzing. The truth is, life doesn't care if you're ready or not. Washers break, kids get sick, tires blown, and without an emergency cushion, every one of those events feels like a crisis. It's not just the bill itself, it's the panic of wondering how in the world you're going to cover it. Will it be another swipe of the credit card? Will you borrow from family? Will you just hope it holds together until payday? But here's the encouraging part. You don't need $10,000 in the bank to feel safer. Even $500 can make a huge difference. Think of it as buying peace of mind. Start small. A little extra from each paycheck, some side hustle money, or even selling a few things around the house. Over time, that cushion grows. Let me tell you, the first time you cover a flat tire or surprise medical bill with cash you already have, it feels like winning the lottery. You realize no longer powerless against the curveballs. And here's a quick tip that can make the emergency fund work even harder for you. Keep it in a high-yield savings account. These accounts pay far more interest than a traditional bank, which means your money quietly grows in the background while it's sitting there waiting for life's next surprise. Now, I've added a link below where you can compare current high-yield savings accounts and find the one that fits your needs best. It's an easy way to make your emergency fund a little smarter and a lot more rewarding. The link is in the description below, or you can use this QR code to find all of my money-saving resources. Worry number 6, credit card debt. Credit card debt is like that uninvited guest who overstays their welcome, except the guest charges you 29% interest for the privilege of just hanging around. For many middle-class families, balances build up little by little. A dinner here, a car repair there, a Christmas splurge, and suddenly the balance is more than you can comfortably pay off. The real stress comes when you realize the interest is eating up your payment. You send in $200, but only $50 goes towards the actual debt. It's discouraging, and it makes people feel like they're digging in quicksand. And while some debt feels manageable, credit card debt feels sneaky because it grows so fast. I've talked to families who feel actual shame around their credit card balance, and that shame can make you want to ignore it. But here's the tough love. Ignoring it won't make it go away. The first step is to stop adding to the balance. That may mean cutting back on extras or switching to cash or debit card for a while. From there, pick one card and focus all of your extra dollars there while paying the minimums on the rest. Some people love the debt snowball method, starting with the smallest balance for quick wins. Others go with debt avalanche, attacking the highest interest rate first. Either way, the key is momentum, seeing progress. Even slow progress builds hope. Worry number 7, student loans. Student loans were supposed to be the ticket to a better life, the golden key that unlocked opportunity. But for many middle-class families, those loans became a heavy chain around their neck instead. Payments drag on for years, sometimes decades, and it feels like no matter how much you pay, the balance barely moves. That frustration creates real stress because it's not just about money. It's about feeling stuck. I've talked to people who put off buying a home, starting a family, or even taking a vacation because that student loan bill is always there, hanging over their head like a dark, threatening cloud. And the emotional weight is just as tough as the financial burden. There's constant voice whispering, "You'll never get out of this." But here's where mindset matters. Even small extra payments make a difference, especially when you target the principal. Every extra $20 you throw at it chips away at years of interest. Refinancing can sometimes help too, especially if it lowers your rate or combines multiple loans into one manageable payment. And don't forget, side hustles, even temporary ones, can supercharge your payoff plan. The most important thing is to keep moving forward. Progress might be slow, but every step you take brings you closer to freedom. Worry number 8, helping kids with college. Middle-class parents carry a special kind of weight when it comes to college. On one hand, you want to give your kids the world. You dream of them having every opportunity you never have. On one hand, you want to give your kids the world. You dream of them having every opportunity you never had. On the other hand, you're staring at your own bills, retirement needs, and maybe even lingering debt of your own. The tug of war is real. The stress comes from feeling like you're failing your kids if you can't cover it all. But here's the truth. You don't have to. College doesn't have to mean writing a blank check. In fact, sometimes the best gifts you can give your child is teaching them early how to navigate this expensive stage smartly. Scholarships, grants, part-time work, and choosing an affordable school can make a massive difference. And here's a perspective shift. You can borrow for college, but you can't borrow for retirement. Not that I would advocate for borrowing for college either. That means it's okay, necessary even, to put your own financial health first. If you sacrifice your retirement to pay for your child's tuition, you may end up relying on them later, which puts everyone in a tough spot. So instead of carrying the full load, focus on preparing your child to carry part of it themselves. That not only eases your worry, but it also gives them valuable life skills. Worry number 9, rising costs of living. It feels like every time you blink, the price of something you need has gone up. Gas, groceries, childcare, clothes, even a fast food meal isn't cheap anymore. The rising cost of living hits middle-class families hardest because their income isn't stretched the way that it used to. It's like trying to fill a basket with water. No matter how much you pour in, it keeps slipping through. This kind of stress isn't one big crisis. It's the slow drip of daily life. It's opening your grocery bill and wondering how it got so high when you bought the same things you did last month. It's skipping outings or activities because the little extras don't feel affordable anymore. That low-grade anxiety builds up and leaves people exhausted. The hard truth is we can't control inflation, but we can control how we respond. Meal planning, buying in bulk, cutting down food waste, and swapping name brands for store brands can actually save hundreds over the course of the year. Tracking spending helps too because sometimes just seeing where the leaks are gives you the power to patch them. It's not glamorous, but every adjustment is a small win, and those small wins add up, giving you a sense of control in a world that often feels out of control. Worry number 10, job security. For middle-class Americans, job security is the foundation everything else rests on. When that feels shaky, everything else starts to crumble. The thought of losing a job, whether from layoffs, downsizing, or just an unpredictable economy, can keep people up at night. Because it's not just about income. It's about health insurance, retirement contributions, and the stability your family depends on. Even if you're good at your job, there's always that nagging thought. What if my company decides they don't need me? That fear makes people stay in jobs they don't love, afraid to rock the boat or try something new, and the stress builds in silence. So there you have it. 10 money worries that middle-class Americans are carrying every single day. They're heavy, they're real, and they can feel never-ending. But here's the good news. You're not alone, and you're not powerless. Remember my story from Virginia Beach? Walking into that dark apartment with a fridge full of spoiled food that was embarrassing and humbling, but it also taught me something important. Money mistakes don't define you. They shape you. I wish I could tell you that stinky fridge was one of my first wake-up calls, but it seems I'm a slow learner, and that was only the first time my electricity was turned off for lack of payment. You may not be able to solve all 10 of these worries overnight, but you can take a small step today, whether that's setting aside $20 for savings, making an extra payment on a credit card, or just facing a bill that you've been avoiding. Progress builds confidence, and confidence eases the stress. You don't have to carry all of these worries forever. One step at a time, you can put them down. And if this video spoke to you, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and watch this video next.